We've officially been living in Germany for 1 year as Americans, and a year ago, we put out 2 videos detailing all the culture shocks we had living in Germany. Today, I'm here to take a look back at those and see if those culture shocks still hold true after 1 year of living in Germany. Now, you'll see all over YouTube about expats living in Germany culture shock videos. But hardly anybody ever reviews them and updates them, because not everything remains shocking after living in that country. So one of our first big culture shocks when we moved to Germany was that they have insurance for everything. It's not something we've ever seen in Spain or the US or even heard about in other countries, but it's very popular here and almost everyone has it. Trust me, because you let us know in the comments that it was a good thing to get. And once we got our initial insurance, we didn't really worry about it, and it's not something we really think about. It's super cheap, but if anything ever happens, we are covered. So it's really an amazing thing, and it's really cool that Germany has it. But again, it was a shock right away because we didn't expect it, but now that we have it, we don't even think about it, and we're super happy we're covered. Perhaps one of the biggest culture shocks we experienced when first moving to Germany is that everything is closed on Sundays and it's super quiet. And while it can still be an inconvenience at times because it's something we're used to, especially coming from the US where we did shopping on Sundays, it's become a little bit more normal and we just kind of plan our weeks around it. So we make sure to get our groceries on Saturday so we're not stuck without food on Sunday. It's really not that big of a deal, and while a big shock at first and a big culture shock you'll probably see on any expat in Germany video, it's not that big of a deal after a year. Peeing in public was another thing in Germany that we first noticed and came as quite a bit of a shock. However, after living here a year, it's perhaps because we only saw it really happen at summer festivals when it was nice out and people were a bit intoxicated. They just kind of went off to the side and peed. But it's not something we've noticed really almost at all the rest of this first year we've lived here. So I guess that one was a bit of a dud that we mentioned in the culture shock video. So Germans definitely love their rules. And this was something that shocked us when moving here, especially when we learned about quiet hours. We had no idea quiet hours were not only expected, but also could be enforced by police. Now, we didn't get in trouble for quiet hours at all, but just knowing that Sundays are totally quiet, you can't cut your grass, you can't make any noise, you can't do any housework, that's something that's totally different for someone coming from the US, except for kids. Apparently, according to a friend, they can blow the roof off the place and make as much noise as they want. And I think I might be getting this wrong, but Germans have some saying that kids don't make noise, they make sounds. So they allow kids to make as much noise as they want, basically, but you can't make noise on Sundays or any night after like 8 or 9 o'clock. I'm not sure exactly. Again, we haven't gotten in trouble for it, but that's one thing we've noticed are the rules. Going along with that, and I know we've talked about it, and if you watch any other channels, I'm sure you've heard about it too, is crossing the street when it's red, especially when children are around. That's something we've noticed is especially true, and when we're crossing the street in another country, for example, when we visited Norway, Spain, or Turkey this year, we are the ones stopping, waiting at the red light when other people from those countries will just take a quick look and go across. And we've realized perhaps we've become a little bit more German than when we first moved here. So I guess kudos to us for adopting to the German culture, especially when crossing the street. Now, on to the next culture shock. One culture shock for us when moving to Germany was how great the work-life balance was, especially compared to the US. I hope you can hear me behind the church bells here, but it was one of those things where it was just a lot better here. For example, you don't get emails after a certain hour, at least where we work, and you're not really expected to continue to work or be on your phone and connected to work all the time, whereas you are in the US. It's one of the things we really like about living here, but it's also one of those things that is different than where we're from. We love that everyone, including our employers, seem to respect that not only do we have a work life, but there's a clear-cut separation and we have a personal life as well. While it was a shock at first, it can still sometimes be a shock, especially to us as Americans, but it's one of the things we do really love about living here. Next up for shocking things are these really stupid cigarette machines that they have in the city, where you can basically buy cigarettes from essentially a vending machine. While we were wrong about it being shocking that anyone could buy them, because you do have to scan your ID, it's still a little shocking to see them. And I call them stupid because why do you need cigarette vending machines all over the city when we know it's not good for you? That's something we're going to talk about in another video, so make sure to like and subscribe so you can get notified of that one right away. And let's keep rolling with these review of culture shocks here in Germany. One semi-shocking thing when we moved to Germany was the numbering system for apartments. For example, we have a street number and a house number, but there's no apartment number, it's just your name. So it's pretty normal when living here, you just basically tell someone what floor you're on, or when you ring, they tell you what floor they're on and you can go up to it. However, you wouldn't know that from looking at the address. But when we tell our family back home our address, they are often a little bit confused because there's no apartment number. But it's not really shocking after living here. German cars are so much nicer, and that's because they actually have a regulatory government body that makes sure your car looks nice. So you don't have a bunch of junkers like in the US driving around that are rusted out and bumpers falling off everywhere. And it's something we don't really notice anymore when seeing nice cars. However, when you see the occasional not so nice car, it really sticks out because you're used to seeing cars that are basically in pristine condition. And because I really like this spot with this Hanover sign right behind me here, I'm gonna go with another culture shock, the bottle Pfand return system. So when you buy a bottle or a can, you generally pay between 8 and 25 cents more. And when you're done with that, you take it back to the grocery store and you put it in a machine and you get that money right back. So it's a way to encourage people to recycle. I'm not sure exactly if they've ever done a study that shows that it really works better than just allowing people to recycle it and not paying that deposit. However, it's something that I feel like makes people recycle a little bit more. Plus, it's fun to put those bottles in a machine. And while we're here, let's do one more culture shock just for fun. We first noticed there were a lot more homeless people in Germany than there were in Spain. And it's something that's kind of become normal, especially around the train station. And while it does still feel like there are more homeless people in Germany than there are in Spain, we would like to know why. We're not really sure of the social programming for people who are homeless or any of the government supports that Germany provides, or in fact, how those compare to the government supports of Spain. If you know of either of those, please let us know because we'd love to know that. Like we said, it's something that's kind of become normal and isn't necessarily shocking anymore. But if you know, please drop that in the comments because we're genuinely curious. One of the things perhaps Germans are best known for and came as a little bit of a shock to us was how punctual they actually are. And this is something we definitely feel, especially coming from living in Spain before this, where people aren't necessarily known for being punctual, but the punctuality in Germany was a shock to us right away. And it's something that we're still definitely aware of, especially when getting together with friends or certainly when we're going to an appointment. We really want to be on time, and we do feel a bit of that social pressure to make sure we're on time and not making people wait. And I guess that's just part of living in Germany. So I'm back where we started at the Hanover Rathaus, and I'm here for the one culture shock that really still doesn't make sense to us and is quite shocking, and that is bubblers, if you're from Wisconsin, or public drinking fountains. Germany really does not have them, and we have no idea why. It doesn't make sense for a country that wants to be super environmentally friendly because, yes, while you have the Pfands that we talked about on the bottles so you can return them and get a deposit, why not have public drinking fountains where people can use reusable water bottles instead of glass or plastic bottles that can be recycled, but yes, that does take energy. So why not just have clean water that you can use a reusable water bottle and fill up anywhere in the city? That's gonna help everyone out. And if you know why Germany doesn't have that, please drop that in the comments below, because the ones we got last time is that Germany can't ensure that clean water is coming from the drinking fountains, and that doesn't quite make sense to us, so we don't really know why. But if you know, drop that in the comment. And that's gonna do it for this culture shock review video after a year of living in Germany. So make sure to check out our other videos. We got a playlist right up here, and we'll see you over there. Bye.